I'm Bella Thorpe from Shake It Up. And you're watching Disney Channel. Yeah!
I don't know about you, but I feel like if someone were to tell you right now to think of a Disney Channel original show, more often than not, at least in my generation when they were still a really big thing, I feel like there are a few key examples that might immediately pop into your mind for just how iconic they were to the time in which they debuted. This
oversized sweatshirt buying daddy who just said 3-time Academy Award-winning director, producer of Jaws, Jurassic Park, E.T., Men in Black 1 and 2, wants me to star in a Snake Big blockbuster opposite of Mission Impossible, Hunky Honk Conqueror, say what?
or this.
Does anyone know the chocolate slide?
This. And of course, this.
Are you familiar with the gear shift?
You mean the Prindle?
The what?
Maybe even these, depending on who you are.
Bow, chicka, bow, wow. That's what my baby said. Elastic constricting agents. Then I guess you're afraid.
Okay, cut it out. Stop it. Acting like a fool.
Actually, I'm acting like a chicken. I'm not afraid to act like a fool. No, I'm late. Sorry.
Hey, I was worried about you.
Really?
I mean, you know, we were all worried about you. Right, guys? Yes. So what?
And for good reason. For a lot of people, mainly kids that are now becoming young adults after growing up with the times, myself included, these shows made a huge impact on our childhoods. So much so that a couple of them are being rebooted for the new era. Whether for better or for worse, more often than not, it's worse. You have no idea just how badly I'm praying that the Wizards reboot will at least be serviceable. It's gotta be better than the iCarly reboot, right?
People are weirdly loving this.
I don't think this is how you do it!
But regardless, we can all surely understand why these shows are prime candidates to be brought back. I know whether the shows were ever even good or not to begin with can surely be debated. But either way, there are still a lot of people now who are super nostalgic for some of these shows' themes, other music that have been released because of these series, super mega stars that have been talked about again and again, taking the world by storm, that we probably wouldn't even have now if not for them having been born of the Disney brand. The copious amounts of merch that had come out at the time for some of these shows. Heck, Hannah Montana as a character even had IRL tours that she went on performing for real people, alongside Miley also performing as herself, and then alongside High School Musical, though that is a movie series, but still heavily related. Hannah Montana went on to have a whole movie premiering in movie theaters back when that was actually still important. And canonically, this movie was in the timeline right in the middle of that series between seasons 2 and 3 as it premiered on Disney Channel. This is to say that I don't know if technically in the same way that you could pinpoint a strict renaissance in Disney movies that everyone agrees on, so much so that it's known today as a literal era, that you could 100% say the same Disney Channel shows. But I would say that there are definitely at least a few shows that mostly everyone would probably come to agree on being the closest bet. And in my bold opinion, I'd say that for a large chunk of people, when that generation felt a large slip starting, whether they noticed it or not, would be...
Now they're getting their big break.
Wow. Does anyone here dance on their feet?
This November, two best friends discover that to make it big, they have to shake it up. Let's see what you got. Hit it! You're in!
We totally just danced on TV. And we totally rocked it.
Shake It Up, a new Disney Channel series. Premieres Sunday, November 7th at 8:30, 7:30 Central.
Shake it.
Or I don't know. Could just be me. My name is Amelia Rosebud, and today I am going to start going over every single episode and determine to you why I think it makes sense to say that Shake It Up is the show that ended the Disney Channel Renaissance. Let's start with the pilot, premiering on November 7th, 2010, titled Start It Up. The episode begins with our two main characters, Cece Jones, played by Bella Thorne, and Rocky Blue, played by Zendaya, as they dance for money in the Chicago subway station. A set that I don't think past this episode that we will see again for quite a while. Now, I will say, when it comes to the dancing in this show, as a kid, I was so envious. I wish I had sweet moves like these girls and pretty much everyone else in this show. As an adult, I'm probably too uneducated to be able to tell you all if this is good or not. It just looks super fun, and I probably honestly would still love to be able to do it. So in that case, I'm probably just biased. On set, they must have had a really good time doing it, so for most of this retrospective, I will be excusing all of the dancing as decently good or at least enjoyable, unless I feel the need to state otherwise, either in circumstances of intense cringing or genuine appreciation. But Rocky and Cece do their little dancing, and again, it looks fun at the least. They pass around a hat to collect tips, and even get a couple guys to join in, so that's cute. When they get their hat back, they see they only gained a dime as a tip, and so they try to basically guilt trip the subway goers to try and get more money.
Oh, come on, people! Yesterday, there was a guy here with a psychic cat. His name was Mittens, and even I gave him $1. Plus, we need operations!
And in some true Disney Channel cheese, someone steals their dime. Honestly, I wouldn't know having never actually been to one, but I feel like this seems pretty accurate to how it would actually go for people that perform at a real subway. So I do give some props, except, I don't know, a lot of the people here seem to be like really into it all, so for them to get nothing, I think it honestly kind of would have been a little bit funnier for all the subway people to be like absolutely annoyed by them. Almost like Zack and Cody fashion, like the earlier season. But I digress. The punchline sounds...
How do we do this time? Someone stole our dime.
And then we go into the intro. I'm not going to focus on it too much here. I don't feel like I'm too great at explaining why I would like a piece of music, besides just like the obvious of the beat's catchy, or the lyrics are meaningful to me, or in this case, the piece of fiction it's connected to. That being said, I would love at some point to do like a rating Disney Channel theme songs video in the future, or something like that, if that'd be the kind of video anybody would want to see from me, maybe. And likewise, guess a spoiler for if I ever do make that video, but I think Shake It Up actually has a pretty good one by Disney Channel standards, and maybe even past that. Though, I do kind of find it funny how both Zendaya and Bella would go on to later make music together and separately, both for the show and then past that. Though, to be fair, both their music careers didn't last too long for reasons. I think it's kind of funny that they didn't sing their own theme song. And not like how like Zack and Cody didn't do their own themes for both of their shows, or like Sabrina Carpenter did the theme for Andy Mack, because I don't think that girl Peyton actually was a singer. So overall, long story short, if they weren't going to do it themselves, I think Selena is the perfect choice. I like at this point that she was a veteran for the channel. She was on my favorite show, with doing her own show's theme, and then like her band being really big for Disney Channel at the time. Obviously, she's wildly talented in everything she's done since then, so she killed this song. It was a great choice. And I'm seriously actually kind of ashamed just how, as a kid, it took me way too long to realize it even was Selena. Like, I was a Selena Gomez and the Scene stan at the time with her first 2 albums, so I have, like, no excuse. Also, I found this alternative, I guess, first draft of the theme song on YouTube here, so note the watermark, and I don't know how to feel about it. I think it's kind of fun the first time, and the signature moves that they use to introduce each character here, they did end up reusing again for the final draft. Just instead of this whole dancing scene that they're intermixed with clips from the series. And overall, I do think it looks better as the final cut that we got. The first one kind of looks uncanny, and the 3D background silly and distracting. But at the same time, that's kind of like what the time was. Okay, I think I did spend a little bit more time talking about this than I'd wanted. So enough of my rambling. Back to the episode. We join Cece in her Chicago apartment as she watches the reality dance TV show, Shake It Up Chicago, before school. In entering Cece's mother, Georgia Jones, and she's a cop. And honest to God, I've seen this show growing up when it aired, and a handful of episodes in more recent years. And aside from a larger plot that she will get later, this is really at this point all I remember about this character. She is a recurring character, but I don't remember anything of her personality at all, except that she loves her kids, but still, I feel like she was barely even around. at least in the first and second season. Our next main character enters, Cece's little brother, Flynn. And just from my memories of this kid, he was only ever really in B or C plots of the episodes, never doing really anything all that substantial. And he was supposed to be like this really cute and funny kid, but in reality, at the time, I just found him super annoying.
Can I get toasted tarts? Flynn, they're 90% sugar. Ooh, do you have anything 100%?
Whether it was just the way he was written or the way he was acted, I don't know. But also, I do give credit that he was a kid, doing probably the absolute best that he could with the material he was given. So that's all I'm going to say about it. Child stars do not deserve the hate that they get. They are literal children.
I want bacon! You don't have any bacon! Why is there no bacon? I bust my butt through and all I asked for is a lot of triple bacon!
Cece's best friend, Rocky, enters in the fire escape, as will be a recurring thing with all of her entrances into the Jones apartment. And I do remember that we also will see the Blues apartment at some point and her parents, but I think it only has a very few showings. Cece tells Rocky how the three kids only have 5 minutes to make it to the subway to get to school, and so because Cece's mother asked her to feed Flynn, they end up doing what they call
1 minute breakfast? Oh no, not 1 minute breakfast! 5, 4, 3, 2, breakfast!
Why at first does it look like he thinks he's about to get tortured? Like, the way he runs away insinuates that they've done this before. Also, I feel like maybe there were easier ways to go about doing this in the same amount of time. You couldn't, like, sloppily throw together, like, a PB&J. It's just a bag that makes this look super depressing.
It looks like a big bag of vomit! Yes, but it's the most important bag of vomit of the day!
Though, I could also see people doing this, like in bigger cities, how college students, like, guzzle down ramen when times are tough. Next, we have a couple establishing shots as we enter into John Hughes High School, which was modeled after the actual Lincoln Park High School in Chicago. I'm sorry that I'm not Kean Carlisle, who can afford to go on site to stand to these places IRL. Someday. I'm coming after you, Kean. Cece and Rocky stand at their lockers as they check out boys who are obviously a bit too old for them in real life. And this is when I'm gonna start noticing about whether the background extras are allowed to talk or not, aren't I? Damn it, Kean, you ruined everything. Based on his analysis of the timeline from his previous videos, I'm gonna go ahead and say no, and we're gonna keep a small tally from now on. So, number 1, random cute guy in the halls, number 1. I'm guessing this is a Disney Channel show, so there will probably be more. And oh yeah, this entire episode's punchline is about how Rocky and Cece are the only girls in their entire school that don't yet have cell phones.
We're the only ones in our class that don't have cell phones. Well, I wouldn't have to yell if only I had a cell phone. Call me, if I ever get a cell phone.
That's not gonna get annoying at all. Here, we meet our 4th of the main cast in the form of Deuce Martinez, who I'm pretty sure is honestly just a less likable or funny version of, like, rip-off Rodney from iCarly, but extended to be a main character.
I got a special this week on burritos. 2 for $6.
And do they contain quality meat?
No, they do not. It's a complimentary watch.
You sold us these watches. Mine has the big can and hers has the little one.
I begged you to buy the warranty. I got flaming teeth, backflesh, yellow day,
Cuttlefish, this Friday.
Check it out, chicas. 2 tickets for Lady Gaga. $50. Obstructed view. That's a tough get.
How much?
$100.
100?
Each.
Well, I see why they call you Rip-Off Rodney.
It's hurtful, yet appropriate.
How obstructed?
Ladies' room, stall 3.
Again, I feel like the greater narrative of the plot of the series, that he doesn't do much aside from just being a friend of Cece and Rocky's. I'm not going to go as far as to say he's completely unnecessary, but I'm also not going to go as far as to say he is necessary either. But at least for this moment, there is a nice point to him as Deuce gives the girls a flyer for auditions for their favorite dance show, as shown earlier, Shake It Up Chicago. Okay, the look that he's giving her right now, I feel like definitely implies either a crush Deuce has on Cece that would never end up being followed up on. Sorry, spoilers. I mean, who cares? Or maybe some infatuation that Adam Irigoyen actually had on Bella Thorne behind the scenes. And here we get a little bit of exposition. So, not done as badly as some other shows. It explains the premise of the audition we're about to see them going to, but also sounds genuinely kind of like how some pre to teen girls might actually talk.
Shake It Up Chicago, it's only like our favorite TV dance show in the world. We watch it every Saturday. Those dancers are sick. Oh, I would so kill you to be on that show. Oh, I would so let you.
And it's small moments like this when I can actually see like the dynamic of the friendship between Rocky and Cece. Hold that thought for later in the video.
Who do you think you are? Let's see. You.
Deuce leaves and enters in our Eastern European stereotypes.
Because I'm Gunther.
And I am Tinka.
Und wir are the Hessenheffers.
Gunther and Tinka Hessenheffer. It is unknown exactly where they are from, as to not be too offensive, I guess, but it literally seems that the only point to either of these characters is just to annoy Cece and Rocky like a bully, as these two would also go to audition for Shake It Up Chicago, or to make fun of people from a different culture because they talk or act differently or weird. I'm again not going to go too far into that, except to say, bad Disney. Bad.
I see you have a flyer for the Shake It Up Chicago local popular television dance program.
Now it's your chance to exit from the audition gracefully, hanging your heads like dogs. Whiff, whiff.
You deserve a hit on the hand. Cece here says that they've been foreign exchange students since the first grade.
We know who you are. You've been exchange students since the first grade. And when do we get to exchange you back?
Both of these are very clearly American actors.
Don't be loony natty. Don't be loony natty.
Or is it your cell phones that don't exist?
Text us.
Skipping to the end of the day, Rocky and Cece sit outside their apartment complex as Rocky tells Cece that what Gunther and Tinka said actually got to her, and now she's too scared to go to the audition.
But I'm still not going. It's too scary.
Cece calls out her friend for always ruining opportunities for herself by giving up before they even start.
Loony nutty? All our lives we've dreamed about being professional dancers. Now we can see if we're good enough.
When that doesn't work, we meet our last of the main characters in the form of Rocky's older brother Ty, who also likes dancing, but for some reason doesn't want to audition for Shake It Up Chicago. I get that the reasoning from like a narrative perspective is that the show is supposed to all be about Rocky and Cece and making dancing like their core thing, so that makes sense. But I also just feel like that in universe, this is a pretty out of character decision for Ty, as we'd later come to see on in the series.
No thanks, I don't dance for the man.
Also, Ty was in Camp Rock, where there really wasn't much of a character for him, but really just that he was a dancer sometimes that spoke. And Camp Rock 2 came out the same year. Then the two have an almost kind of dance battle. And I think actually for this specific scene, it was nice to see Rocky be shown to be on the same level as she'd one-up her brother. Later on, we would go on to see as Ty would be just a bit more advanced in the types of moves that he could do, and they never have Bella or Zendaya attempt at doing anything even close to trying to copy them. I don't think that either of the girls are actually bad dancers by any means. It's just that I definitely think that they were always actresses first and foremost. Their music careers will be getting into much later as they do come to connect to the show at points. And I mean, look at Zendaya's career after this. She'd go on to do a lot more projects that include dancing or various other physical exertions. Like, she literally went on to, did she win? Or was she just like a runner-up on Dancing with the Stars? It just seems that for Rocky and Cece, that they are just usually a bit more limited in the type of moves that they are given in their choreography compared to a lot of the other dancers. You'll see a bunch of guys on Shake It Up Chicago doing all these flips, spinning on their heads, and other crazy moves like that. Then there's just Cece and Rocky. Neither of them, nor Gunther and Tinka, actually ever come close to doing anything similar. What they're given are really fun, and I don't think I'm wrong in saying that sometimes can be pretty impressive. I'm just imagining what I'd look like, and I love to dance, just not that great at it. It's just that sometimes they are very repetitive in the type of arm movements, body shimmies. Look, they're doing the Disneys! And it really doesn't help when the girls are just randomly input into other dances like this, where everyone else around them, their skills are just on another level. And then you see the girls just there smiling. They're really having a great time. But this must have worked to build up Rocky's confidence just enough, though very temporarily, as in the very next scene, we will see as Rocky and Cece arrive on the set of Shake It Up Chicago. Rocky still wants to give up, so Cece pushes her, literally pushes her, into the legs of a guy dancing upside down and making him fall over.
Cece, does anyone here dance on their feet?
Girls apologize to him, but he doesn't say anything back. That, everyone, is extra number 2, who I am calling Upside Down Fall Guy. Cece and Rocky meet the show's TV personality host that doesn't actually have any talent in dancing. I'm pretty sure. Basically Disney Channel's version of, I'm gonna guess, Ryan Seacrest. Gary Wilde. All I remember about this guy is how he is very full of himself.
You want me to autograph your picture of me?
Oh, we don't have a picture of you.
That's all right. I have some. Lucky girls.
Oh, and here's another running gag through the episode about just how small the girls look in comparison to literally everyone else.
I think there's gonna be big kids there. Big kids. Big kids. I told you there would be big kids.
Because I'm pretty sure that in reality, they are so much younger than everyone else that are probably in their 20s playing teenagers. Like, this is a really good shot for an example here. Like, look at all the extras here, in the background, and then these two girls just standing in front of them. Cutting to the auditions, we see as Rocky, Cece, Gunther, and Tinka have all made it.
John, you're all moving on to the next round.
I can't believe we made it this far.
Neither can we.
All right, kids. I only got 6 openings for background dancers, so
Of course, that would mean that the odds of our main 4 characters here that we know ending up getting chosen out of 6 spots and these many wildly talented teens. So we go to the last round of audition, Gary
it's
called
the spotlight dance. You're good. You just don't have the look we're looking for.
extra number 3, Gary Wilde assault on a minor. Rocky again doubts herself while watching the other performers.
That guy was great and they let him go. What chance do we have?
Cece tries to brighten her spirits with a quotable one-liner.
A better chance now that he's gone.
Rocky is called herself to audition. Cece practically has to throw her onto the stage.
Okay, Rocky, let go. Rocky, let go. Rocky, let go.
Where Gary acts like he didn't just meet her in, like, universe maybe an hour ago.
Brought your hoodie because when Gary Wilde hits the floor, it gets a little cooler.
And then in that scene, he didn't take into account either of the girls' appearances at all either. But I'm just gonna go ahead and chalk that up to his self-centeredness and how he probably doesn't actually pay anyone attention until he actually has to for his job.
May I say, wow. Let's see what you got. Hit it.
Oh, and by the way, aside from being the show's host, what actually qualifies Gary Wilde to pick who dances on the show? We never see him dance. And I don't remember it ever being mentioned that he's like a Simon Cowell type. So like, Ryan Seacrest on Idol didn't actually choose who made it past auditions or not. So what qualifies Gary Wilde? Anyway, Rocky does this. Everyone thinks it's absolutely amazing, and she makes it onto the show immediately.
Wait, but I'm afraid you're in.
Seriously? I'm in? I'm gonna be on the show every week? Thanks, Gary.
I would have hated in universe to be any of the other dozen plus kids there trying out if the spots are given out so easily. Whether you were good or not, having the spot be given immediately when there's only 6 in total, that would suck. Like, you might not even get a chance to audition because the 6 spots are filled up before you even have a chance to go, and you could still be the best dancer there. But then, Gary calls on Cece, and of course, after all this confidence she was spewing out this entire episode...
You don't like us? Oh, who am I kidding? You're gonna love us. Why wouldn't we audition? We are the best dancers in Chicago. Oh, come on, Rock. Don't do this again. I've been waiting for this my whole life.
trying to hype up Rocky, but it's actually her turn. The very bright spotlight shines on her. You know what's coming.
Can't dance, might fall on butt. Let me hear that click clack on the hi-hat.
I gotta give it to Bella though, how she really makes Cece look so heartbroken here. And it honestly does make me feel for her as she looks around and sees everyone staring at her. And just the embarrassment of the situation before she runs off the stage. And then when Rocky chases after her to find her sitting at the empty subway station. I will say though, for one, this is supposed to be Chicago. I'm positive there would never be a time when this place wouldn't be bustling with people. But as for the interaction these two have here, now this is the kind of thing that really still makes me feel like the timing in which this show was made.
Loser. Stop it. Cece Jones is not a loser. Cece Jones is a girl who has the guts to try all these crazy things. And I, as your BFF, get to try them too.
We might be about to go over, in great detail, all of what I think are the missteps that this show took in development as time went on, and where I truly think it went wrong. But I do think that at these early stages, there's a good reason in which Cece and Rocky were marketed so much so as one of Disney Channel's best duos. They have genuinely good delivery and chemistry with each other that makes you believe them to be best friends.
And I'm kind of awesome too. No. You're awesomer.
I do think, though, that for as far as this show will fall as it goes on, this friendship might still be deserving of being one of the best in the channel's history. If for nothing else, if for not even the plot, I bet you could throw that out the window when it comes to this conversation. How good these actresses are together, I think it's still pretty warranted. But we can't just let a good moment be, can we?
Shut up!
So we see the next morning, it's Saturday, and Rocky comes over to Cece's through the fire escape still wearing her PJs, and Cece freaks out as Rocky is supposed to be on set in half an hour. It's just not fair and wouldn't be any fun anymore. But Cece does not accept this as an answer, and she practically waterboards her best friend. And then Flynn comes and drinks the milk that had just been in Rocky's mouth. This episode is gross. I don't remember it being so gross. And I don't think it's a trend that carries over to the rest of the series. I don't remember anything else being this nasty. And I hope it won't. I really don't like the idea of the grown men in the writer's room, probably. When it comes to this scene, you know. Rocky and Cece make it to the set literally right on time, and because there's only 5 minutes left of the pilot, and the whole point of the show is that Rocky and Cece dance on this show together, they have to act fast to find a way to get Cece also on the show. So, Cece, for whatever reason, is just let on set, no problem, even though she didn't make it on the show. I feel like in real life that would be questioned at least. Cece is allowed to watch as Rocky is supposed to get up on the stage for the opening dance number, but when Rocky's supposed to go up on the stage, but doesn't want to go alone, she handcuffs Cece to her. So the both of them go up on the stage, and Cece feels no more fear as the two dance together. Now, Rocky later will be shown that she's supposed to be usually pretty rule-abiding, but for the purposes of this episode, she stole Cece's mother's handcuffs.
Where'd you get the handcuffs? They're your mom. You sure she won't miss them for a day?
Making me wonder if really this scene was the whole catalyst for them creating Georgia as a police officer.
And keep them behind your back. Unless you want me to put these handcuffs on you. They're really super pinchy.
Because I'm pretty sure we won't see enough of her after this for her career path to really make any much difference whatsoever. Gunther and Tinka watch the duo on the stage and are surely shocked to see that Cece's there. It cuts to the Jones apartment where the boys are watching together in the living room, establishing them all as friends for the first time as they make some pretty unfunny jokes.
I don't know. For a girl who isn't on the show, she's on the show a lot.
Flynn keeps talking about how he wants bacon.
Sure, she has time to dance on TV, but you can't pick up a lousy pack of bacon.
Another running gag. And then the dance ends with Shake It Up Chicago going on a commercial break when Rocky and Cece exit the stage and Gary calls them over. And it goes just about how you'd expect.
Girls?
We're totally getting thrown out of here.
Gary likes Cece's look, he's seen that she can dance now, and he likes how the two took a huge risk to get what they wanted.
You got the skills, you got the look, but what you pulled out there was just weird and unexpected. And I liked it.
And thus, Cece is now on the show, and the stage is set for the rest of the series.
Listen, Gary, to be off the show must mean I'm on the show?
Yeah, you two got that whole it factor. I think our audience is gonna eat you up.
Again, though, how does Gary Wilde have this authority? There isn't anyone else that's behind the scenes directing and controlling this TV show. Oh wait, I'm sorry. There is one more person we see in a handful of scenes. Rufus from...
Oh, you're not gonna believe this. Oh, you're not gonna believe this. Oh, you're not gonna believe this.
But with a headset on. But this was shot a year before Matthew Scott Montgomery would go on to be in that show. So for the purposes of this one, he's just an extra number 4. I'm gonna just call him Matthew Scott Montgomery.
And we're out. 2 minutes, people.
And while we're at it, those dancers here that Rocky and Cece again bump into, I'm counting as extras number 5 and 6. The handcuff bumpers. And yes, of course, I realize there are way more extras in the scenes and that I haven't been counting. There are just way too many to count every single one, so I am going to be counting the ones in which our characters actually have an interaction with, and that still remain silent. In the intro scene, technically I guess I could consider this whole crowd as Cece and Rocky dance for and look at them all, and they mostly dance together here. But that's a lot of people. I'm just gonna stick to the ones who stand out. Also, I love this little detail, how in the background this time, like the older women don't even pass the hat around before giving it back to the girls. One of them just takes the dime and calls it a day. Cece asks Rocky about taking the handcuffs off, but Rocky doesn't realize they have to be unlocked by a key.
Where's the secret button? What secret button? You know, secret button that opens the handcuffs? It's called a key. Where's the key?
She thinks that's just a button that you can press to get out of them. Rocky's supposed to be the smart one here, and Cece's supposed to be stupid, but they haven't really laid that out yet, so... The episode ends with Cece and Rocky receiving checks from the show as they realize how money works and declare that next week they can finally get cell phones.
$40 each! We gotta take $50 and buy your mom new handcuffs, $20 for thrift store dance clothes, and $8 for transportation. That leaves us with $2.
Whoa.
But next week, we get to keep the whole 80. Whoa! Cell phone!
We only know them to potentially have $82 in total by next week though, and that is definitely not going to be enough to buy probably even one cell phone. At least not a good one. Probably even back in 2010. So... sorry, girls. And just keep in mind for a moment that Cece and Rocky have literally declared, they only make $80 a week. Flynn went to the store by himself and bought bacon. Cece is not very good at looking after her brother.
Bacon! Cook it!
And with that, and almost a 5,000 word script later, was the pilot, the first episode of Shake It Up. I'm beginning to understand now why these kind of videos take Kian and Quentin so long to make. Now, honestly, for a pilot, especially one for a Disney Channel show, this one wasn't actually all that bad. And to be fair, I'm kind of someone that even for some of my favorite sitcoms, the pilot is never the episode for me to want to rewatch again and again. Though, now that I'm seeing some of these, I'm questioning why, because some of these are actually pretty great episodes. But my point is that it's normally before the show would find its footing, and usually so much of literally everything afterwards gets shifted at least a little bit. Sometimes the actors are still kind of awkward with each other because they aren't yet comfortable, or there's just something within the setup that changes slightly by the next few episodes. So I think taking all of that into account, this one is actually decent. It has its fair share of cringy elements that at the time watching it as a child, I don't think I realized just how awful they really were. Actually, scratch that. I probably was just as grossed out by this scene the very first time around. And yes, I'm making you watch it again because in the editing process, I've had to, I don't know how many, but too many times for my sanity.
Minty.
But here, I think this show might actually have the opposite problem when it comes to its pilot and earlier few episodes from what I can remember. And we'll find out as we go if I'm right or not, but this show seems to almost be the case that the stuff that works here works better because the main focus is on Cece and Rocky and them getting on the show Shake It Up Chicago, the show within the show that this show is named after. Now, where have I heard that before? And that stuff is what the show should really be. From what I remember, I think the problem for me with this series is kind of how divided it normally felt. I usually liked the characters of Rocky and Cece, and focusing on their friendship and whatever else was going on with the A-plots with the dance show being the through line of the whole series. But then because there has to be other characters, it would usually end up being that whatever is happening within the B and C plots usually are so stupid or boring in comparison, and I just don't care. And maybe this time around, I'll see it with a fresh perspective and come to love these side characters in a way I hadn't ever before when watching as a kid. But it really felt like with this show, whenever Rocky and Cece were on screen, I'd be interested, and whenever they weren't, I just want to skip to whenever I'd see them again. Also, there are a handful of episodes that have almost nothing to do with the fact that the girls dance. There might be a small tie-in, like we're about to see with the next episode, but in a lot of cases, these episodes feel like almost entirely B and C plots, and some of these even Bella and Zendaya's presences, am I saying it right? Presences aren't able to save them because they just aren't given anything very interesting to do. They almost become annoying and boring like the tone of the rest of the characters. Or maybe they actually always were, but just because you actually cared about the plot, it wasn't as noticeable? Huh. So, according to the theme song, in this first season, we have 6 main characters. But actually, from as soon as their first interaction, I don't know why if Gunther is credited in the theme song as a main character, that Tinka isn't. They are almost always together. I think they speak about the same amount. If not, I feel like she might actually talk more than him. Or maybe that's just how I remember because of later events. They do have a few episodes in which each of the pair are absent, but by the end, they still end up being equal in the number of episodes they do appear in. So, I feel like up until a certain point, to me, Gunther and Tinka are a package deal. Not to say that I love either of them too much, but logically. So, for the sake of this discussion, I am actually besmirching the theme song, as I include Tinka as one of the main 7. So first, as our main cast, we have Cece Jones, played by Bella Thorne. Though Cece and Rocky are both marketed as if they are sharing the load of being the main character, they both have an equal amount of screen time. They almost are never in any given scene without the other. Cece, though, seems to be the standout, just a little bit, as being treated to be the lead of the duo. She's the one in which her mother is much more of a recurring character. Flynn so far has appeared more often than Ty has. Cece's apartment is one of the main settings of the show, and Rocky's we haven't even seen yet. Cece's main character traits are her ambition.
I guess dancing with Justin will be the first step to becoming rich and famous.
And after the first few episodes, her confidence.
Any chance the camera has a secret crush on me, but it's too afraid to admit it because it doesn't know if I'd like it back because I so would.
The show is constantly having her take the lead to try and grab at any opportunity potentially in front of them.
Hey, Rocky, that's your problem. You read. I'll make things happen. Come on, we're going to that party.
And if, and usually when, things go wrong, they have Cece acting as the optimist to try and make the best of the situation or come up with a plan to get themselves out of whatever the problem is as it arises. The other biggest aspect of Cece as a character that you know if you have ever seen anything of the show before is that she isn't the smartest character. But something I'd actually kind of found interesting that Kian had said before in his Lab Rats video, and ever since I've come to realize is very true.
Counteract his extreme abilities, he is by far the stupidest one of the bunch. So charismatic with everything he does that Adam never actually really comes across as that dumb. He just comes across as someone making intentional witty jokes.
There are a lot of dumb characters on Disney Channel. I think every show really has at least one that plays that role. But what I found of the very best ones are that they have this charm about them that almost makes it seem that they actually aren't really that stupid, but that instead they are just making intentional jokes. Cece for a while will feel like that too.
Allergic to peanuts.
Oh, what happens?
I swell up, my face breaks out in hives, and I can't breathe.
I don't like cilantro.
But she will start to slip into more uncharted territory as the show continues.
I think she's a gold digger. Do you think she picks her nose?
Gold? Did you get any of Patrick's gold? He's not digging for any gold I'm looking for.
But the thing I found very different and interesting here is just how she owns it.
Oh, yeah. Participant. Yeah! Cece, you know that just means you showed up, right? Yeah!
I feel like in most cases, the dumb character actually doesn't really realize that they even are the dumb character. But with Cece, it's just as soon as her not being the most bright person becomes a part of her character that Cece immediately also acknowledges it about herself on multiple occasions. But she still holds this huge aura of confidence about herself.
People expect me to be stylish and fabulous when I walk down these halls.
She knows that she's still an amazing dancer, that she's super cool, stylish, pretty.
Wow. If the punctuation wasn't so good, I swear I wrote this myself.
And so she can joke about herself and still be okay with it.
All right. What did you fail, break, or lie about?
Failed Spanish, broke a vase, and lied about passing Spanish.
I actually think that that's somebody great for kids to be able to look up to, especially now with mental health being so much more prevalent. It makes Cece a lot more likable than annoying, though she can still go on to be at times as well.
You're either a weirdo, you're a troll, or you smell funny.
Now, as for Rocky, Rocky Blue is played by Zendaya. Rocky is often depicted as the voice of reason in her and Cece's friendship.
Well, because you so deserve it. Maybe next time you won't give out advice when your brain isn't on speaking terms with your mouth.
She tends to have to be the one to reel Cece back in when she realizes that her best friend has taken things a bit too far.
Cece, if you're gonna do this, at least find someone who's gonna be compatible with him.
though there would be many times where we would see as she too would want to take on the same opportunities. But she'd either be too insecure to try, in which Cece would have to bring her out of her shell, or she'd be the one to have to think realistically about if these things are actually even possible for the two of them to even be striving for.
No, it wasn't clear enough.
There's a lot of times where she thinks that they can't and they could, or there's a lot of times where she has to be the one to put her foot down, and sometimes Cece gets upset with her for it.
Cece, I've been thinking, and I'm not really comfortable with beauty pageants. They're demeaning to women and an archaic form of worshiping beauty over the intellectual mind. Can you say that again in American?
The two really do balance each other out throughout all of the good and the bad. And later throughout the series, we kind of will start to see as it could potentially be to the detriment of their friendship.
Thank you, Rocky. We'll take a seat.
It's really sad, actually. There will be multiple times in which Cece is seen as this spunky, fun-loving girl with so much personality. And then Rocky, at the same time, will almost be portrayed as if she's just very limited to only being Cece's best
We
friend.
want to hear about Cece. We want to hear about you. Who is Rocky?
Oh, well, that's easy. I'm Cece's best friend. Really? You think she's my sidekick? Well, a lot of people think I'm her sidekick, but personally, I think we both kick each other. That makes me sound boring.
And that without her, Rocky is just this boring stick in the mud that nobody but the nerd likes.
Rockaroni.
Because she's very rule-abiding and also tries to be more selfless and helpful to anyone in need, though she has her more selfish moments as well. When the show is at its best is when they treat Rocky and Cece's friendship like they do in the pilot. Neither of them would be on the show at all without the push from the other, and it isn't done in too mean-spirited of a way. To me, Flynn Jones, played by Davis Cleveland, is just Cece's little brother.
Not going to tell Mom that me and Rocky haven't left the house. Well. I've heard of this. I believe the technical term is a sneak out. Okay, can we just get to the part where you tell us how much this is going to cost us? $20 each.
That is really all of the character that he has and his relationships to everyone else in the main cast.
You don't think I'll miss her too? I have boogers I still miss.
He's just this mischievous, adventurous kid that in most cases is motivated by money, toys, and sometimes the potential of becoming famous.
Action. I just sat through a Harry Potter double feature and had 2 slushies. But did I miss any of the action? No way. You know why? Because I have my action pants.
Oh, and of course, girls.
What do you want, Flynn? I was wondering if you wanted to come upstairs for a video game and a fudge pop.
Mostly all of his scenes are in the Jones apartment, or some one-off other small location, or the outside of the apartment complex. Most of his plots are the smaller B or C plots, and so I honestly zone out most of the time he's on screen. Ty Blue is a bit similar, except that I found him this time around to be much more unlikable than almost everyone else of the main cast. Played by Rashawn Fagan, Ty is Rocky's older brother. He, like the girls, is a good dancer, but his skill isn't utilized nearly as often. I'm guessing as to not overshadow Rocky or Cece, he usually only dances in attempts at picking up women, and that's his biggest thing. Ty is just a jerk.
I attract more women than a Labrador puppy. I have more chicks than a poultry ranch. I got so many girls around me, my nickname is Shoe Sale.
To his sister,
What are you doing?
Cheering you on.
Really? Because it sounds more like you're putting us to sleep.
Don't be ridiculous.
to his friends,
Why does Tina's mom hate me? Dude, I got science in half an hour. I don't have that kind of time.
to women. I think all of the characters in this show have the problem of being pretty selfish, but while Rocky I think is the least, her brother is definitely the most. Ty wouldn't hesitate to push everyone over if it meant getting something he really wants, and there's many times someone needs something from him and he doesn't care to try and help them until he's usually blackmailed in some way.
I didn't want to have to go this far, but I do want you to remember, I have the picture.
Mom said she burned that picture.
That's what she told you. But the truth is, she gave it to me because she knew that there would come a day when I would need it. And, today is that day.
So what are you thinking? Hip-hop, old school salsa? I'm in.
Not you and your mom's a picture of you guys on a hijacked golf cart. I'm free tonight. How about you, Ty?
Let me check my calendar.
Oh, look, tonight just opened up.
Or if there's money. And that brings me to who mainly often falls victim of being Flynn and Ty's punching bag. Deuce Martinez, played by Adam Irigoyen. Deuce is Cece, Rocky, Flynn, and Ty's best friend. But unless the group is all together at once, he's usually spending time with the other boys, usually.
Wow, surprisingly tasty.
I earlier compared Deuce to like rip off Rodney from iCarly. Though I don't know if I can actually say that rings true for most of his appearances, as his time as a con man is actually focused on surprisingly less than you'd think, given his appearance and how he was introduced to the series. Normally, Deuce is just the butt of the joke.
Is anybody else getting bit up? Are you kidding me? I just got bit by a ladybug. Hey, that's the most attention you've gotten from a lady all year.
Treated as being wimpy, whiny, and lame in the eyes of the other characters.
You're all talk. You're always like, ooh, I'm Deuce. I'm a bad boy. I got connections. I got a can-can in my jacket.
He still tries to be nice and optimistic.
Hold everything. It wasn't her. It was me. I did it. I take full blame. Hey, what happened in here?
But he's beaten down in almost every corner.
Ah, but nobody ever goes back to Deuce.
Though he still will receive some nice highlights to not depress him too much. Maybe more than any other character.
I am Gunther.
I'm Tinka.
Und wir are Hessenheffers.
Gunther and Tinka Hessenheffer, played by Kenton Duty and Caroline Sunshine, are twins who make it their life's mission to annoy Cece and Rocky any chance that they get.
Why would I ever come to either one of you for advice? I'd rather ask my dog for advice. And these tacos that he finds off the street.
Oh, thank goodness. Vataly Hutsit is finally over. Get out.
They too dance on Shake It Up Chicago, and so they all see each other very often, as they also all go to school together. The twins constantly say how much they hate the duo, and in turn the rest of the group, but they actually come around so often that I honestly think they kind of actually really like the group, but they've just put up this wall as a defense mechanism. They know that they are not very well liked, and so they've developed to act as if they don't really have feelings. I say this because of way too many examples that we will talk about in great detail when it comes to the different interactions with all of the rest of the main cast, and it's so interesting their differences and how they interact when only one of them is actually present in the given scene or episode. I have a personal theory when it comes to this, but I will be discussing this much later, as you'd probably need context for it to make much sense. And that's it for the main cast. Now we have the reoccurring roles at this point in the series. So far, there's only two. First, we have Georgia Jones, played by Anita Barone. Georgia is Cece and Flynn's mom. You can tell she is a very loving and supportive mother. She is definitely very protective of her kids. She almost acts as a surrogate mother to the rest of the group anytime that she's on screen with them.
Although, considering I'm spending my vacation with 5 kids, I don't know why I'm in such a rush.
But am I wrong? Or is it that most of Georgia's appearances after the pilot are just her needing to discipline Cece for something stupid that she did? Keep an eye out.
I am so mad at your sister right now. But I'm torn because I really love coming home to clean dishes.
Oh, and sometimes she's just laughing her head off.
So wait, this was all a setup to teach me a lesson about lying?
No, we just thought it'd be funny.
Her laugh is very memorable. It's haunting me. And lastly, we have Gary Wilde, played by R. Brandon Johnson. As stated earlier, Gary is the host of Shake It Up Chicago, and he is pretty self-centered.
Next week, Shake It Up presents our all-day dance marathon. We're raising money for local charities because Shake It Up cares.
And cut, that's a wrap.
Ugh, glad that's done.
Most of his character is how he's just very eccentric and over the top with how he has these big connections within the entertainment industry.
Sorry, Gary, but I'm not gonna make it to your big party tonight.
Oh, you're kidding me. This is gonna be my best party ever. Oprah's invited. And there's no way she's gonna turn me down 7 years in a row.
Most of this just being met with skeptical eye rolls and jabs from the other characters. Though, most of the guests meant to come on Shake It Up Chicago, he wouldn't even recognize by face. There's a few too many times on this show where somebody would come to dance on Shake It Up Chicago, and they're supposed to be this person, but there's somebody pretending to be this person. But he still seems to genuinely have a soft spot for Rocky and Cece, aside from many of the other dancers, except for Gunther and Tinka. As in most episodes, he does seem like kind of a friend to them that actually wants them to succeed. He is somehow more supportive and likable to me than Ty. Now, there is still a rather small list of other reoccurring characters that we will see within the series, but we just have not met them yet. So for the most context, we will just talk about each of them in a bit more detail as they arrive. And with that, I think it's time to move on to the rest of my analysis of Season 1. Now, for the rest of the episodes, I will be trying to go over them much quicker, so without going into as much detail. I will either be just going over the very important elements of the overall series, so anything that actually has to do with Cece and Rocky being dancers, some relationship stuff between characters, although that is another thing I think is a little bit disappointing about this series for me. As a little girl romantic, one of my favorite elements within all of these shows that I watched, even coming to carry into most shows I would watch nowadays, and I know I'm not alone in this, I see you, Caitlin McKillop. One of my favorite things would be deep diving way too far into the ships of the series. And aside from one canon relationship in this one that we would get, I remember thinking is just fine. This show kind of failed in my opinion on that front. The relationships we get in this show, they either don't do enough to give us literally anything to chew on, they would start and then just dismiss it, or they would end it brutally and it leaves such a bitter taste in my mouth about how disappointed I am. Or they gave us this, and we'll get into it with such excruciating detail later, just how much I hate this. But anyways, to say, with all of the future episodes, I will be just discussing the greater, more important aspects. So don't be surprised if throughout a lot of this analysis, I'm just grazing over B and C plots and certain characters, because really, who cares? Okay, so without a further ado, and hopefully any more of my obnoxious rambling about random things nobody cares about, we come to episode 2, which is titled Meatball It Up. And yes, not that you were even asking, but every episode will be a blank it up pun. Also, am I the only one that remembers the title of the show having an exclamation point? Mandela effect.